Hi, welcome to Japan Seikatsu. I'm Ian. I want to speak to you today about the five biggest surprises that I had over the course of 3 years in Shikoku as an ALT on the JET program. Okay, let's get started. Okay, surprise number one was that another ALT basically chose my placement based on my statement of purpose essay. So I believe the JET program chose the prefecture, and then they also chose the city, and I say city, but it's really a collection of towns that they classified as a city. And at that point, the Board of Education reached out to my ALT friend with my statement of purpose essay and other new ALT's statement of purpose essays, and asked him to recommend where each of us should be placed. And when you think about it, it really makes sense because he's a native English speaker. He was also a very good Japanese language speaker as well. And he was able to just make the decision based off what we each wrote about, what we were passionate about, where our experience was, where we would be well placed. So for example, in my school, the prior ALT had spoken Japanese and had studied Japanese, and I had studied Japanese and spoke some Japanese, very limited Japanese at that time. But it would be more of a smooth transition, he thought, by having somebody that spoke some Japanese replace the old ALT, which I think is very logical, makes good sense. Another ALT he placed in the most rural outpost based on the individual's essay, where he talked about having experience traveling all around the world and backpacking, and thought this guy would be a good fit for this very rural position. And frankly, he chose well, because the ALTs were quite happy with where they were placed. But it goes to show that the importance of that statement of purpose. It's more than just getting into the program. That's going to be used to help influence where they place you on the program. That reminds me of another quick tip as well. I had a friend, ALT, who put Tokushima in his application for where he most wanted to be placed, and he did get placed there. So if you know a prefecture that's not highly popular, outside of Osaka and Tokyo, put it down, and the chance of you getting it's going to be much higher. Just because there's not many people that are choosing, prefectures like Tokushima, but the people that do place it, they certainly want to make sure that they get there. So one strategy would be, when you're applying, to choose a prefecture that's not that popular, but for some reason you're interested in, you think could be a good fit, put it down and you may get placed there. Surprise number two of the JET program was that the schools have no janitors, and they're so clean. The teachers and the students share the responsibility to keep the school clean. I remember my first summer, hot, humid, a Japanese summer, and the principal is outside weed whacking for hours to make sure that the school grounds were clean. And I saw students running up and down the hallways, cleaning them. They would use like duct tape to pick up dust and dirt off the floors. It's great. It creates this mindset that any trash or dirt, that's not somebody else's problem, but that's my problem, because we're all the ones responsible for keeping the school clean. Growing up in the US, where you have a cleaning crew come in later to clean the school, it creates this mindset, where that's not necessarily my problem if there's trash on the ground. So I like that part of the Japanese education system, and I think it's a great teaching tool. And then you see that as well. Japanese, as they get older and they're working, you see businesses where they'll take during lunch break and they'll go out and they'll clean the parking lot. They'll clean up the grounds around their office. So it's great. And if anyone's watching this and you've been to Japan, you know how clean Japan is. I think that's one of the the secret tools that they use to keep the country so clean, is from an early age really teaching children the importance of taking responsibility for their space. Right. Surprise number three was, if you ever call in sick, you are expected to go to the hospital and to get a doctor's notice. Or my idea was, if I'm hit with influenza or flu, and if I'm out, I just need to get some rest. and heal up. And the last thing I wanted to do was, go to a hospital and try to understand this vocabulary that I'd never heard before. But that's what they do in Japan. If they miss a day of work, which is rare, they get the doctor's notice. So make sure if you take off, you really should be taking off. Okay, surprise number 4 was how well behaved the students were when nobody was around. I remember every morning they would have teachers' meetings for 15 minutes or so, and all the students were by themselves in the classrooms, like quietly studying. And sometimes I would walk around if I wasn't in the teachers' meeting and just be shocked that all these kids are so well behaved and there's nobody watching them. This was junior high school students, but even at high school, for me in the U.S., if we had no teachers on the entire floor, and we knew there was going to be no teachers, chaos would have ensued. So I was very impressed with how well behaved the kids were, where I was placed in the JET program. 5 is how hard the Japanese teachers are working, and it's the students as well. They have the regular teaching responsibilities. They also have bukatsu, the club activities, and helping coach the sports teams and everything. So the teachers are there. It's a full day. They're there early. They leave late, sometimes 8, 9 o'clock, sometimes later, and also are working weekends. And I know some teachers that were working Saturday and Sunday, so that was 7 days a week some of these teachers were working. I remember one teacher I asked, how many vacation days did you take this year? And I think it was 2 for 2 different weddings. So they're very dedicated, and they really care. They will go visit the students' homes to build a relationship with the parents so that they can work together to give a good holistic education to the students. So it's not easy, which is all the more reason why as ALTs we really want to be vocal in trying to help and asking how we can help and try and lighten that load a little bit. And it created a great environment in my school in the sense that the teachers really went above and beyond. They really cared about the students. The students got a lot of attention, especially because this was in the Inaka in the countryside, so quite a small number of students relative to the cities. But overall, I think you'll see. But the Japanese teachers work really, really hard. Okay, well that's my 5 biggest surprises on the JET program. There's of course many more, but mostly I want to hear from you guys down below in the comments section. What are some of the surprises that you had on the JET program? Or what are your expectations? Let me know. Take care.